No ideas original.
I know you've done promotional video work. Also, how has promotion changed since you've been, been involved in entertainment?
I mean, promotion used to be go to the website or see posters tagged up on the subway. Mm-hmm. And when I first sort of got into it, it was I was leveraging things digitally to be like, yeah, remember when you used to put the CD, it may take you to a certain content thing, or it may take you to a certain thing. Like that was like, I was like one of the dudes doing that, because I was like, this is going to be a wave. Like we need to push it forward with doing digital. I was mad young at the time, so they were just looking at me like, all right, let the kid do this weird computer shit. We don't know about that shit. We just up. But that what I was doing then ends up becoming the norm, and now is evolved into, a lot of things that we do on social media now has just habit, or you have to do it now. It was a thing that used to be rejected. So I think just the evolution of really putting things digital first, I think is the sort of biggest transition that I've lived through, because it was rejected a lot in the beginning, and it was like I had to fight uphill in order to get a lot of things done in that regard. And now it's like, it's hilarious to me how common it is now, and it's like, oh yeah, that's like the base of what we need to get done.
You were ahead of your time.
But I do want to plug that I am working on a network. It's called Judah Network. It is a new content space for a lot of dope creators, including Black creators. I'm partnering with a very popular influencer. His name is Juhan Jones. And we're really coming out with a lot of content through this app. You can look at it as like any other sort of streaming service, whether it's like All Black or TUBI or anything of that nature, and really just curating a certain experience. Whereas if you go to TUBI, the experience that we talked about that you would get. This one, we're hoping what resonates is a lot of untold stories.
That sounds dope.
And a lot of quality stories in this streaming service. So it's a lot of work. It's been keeping me a lot of sleepless nights, but I'm really excited to just mention that and to have folks look out for it, because we're launching in the beginning summertime. I want to say like around July, August. And obviously we'll ramp up a lot when it comes to the communication and the marketing of it. But it's my sort of first time being in that sort of position when it comes to that. And sort of all the experience that I've done before kind of pointed me to this spot. So I'm really excited to work with him. And he's a creative that I've worked with in the past. And just seeing how we're building this thing from little nothing is what I like to do. That's everywhere I've been.
Grassroots.
Besides that, it's usually been like, if it's a big company, it's usually an idea that's not as big that I know can be big and trying to build it up. Yeah. Or it's, or if it is a smaller company or newer company, I'm pushing it up out of the ground and getting things going. I always try to leave a place better than what it was. And that's my just approach. I guess I'll just wrap up as far as with the content just in general. If you watch any content that I've been behind, if you can leave better with a smile on your face, even if it's a tear because you related to it, or some sort of knowledge or something, if I affected you in some sort of positive way, then my mission was done. It doesn't matter if it's a 10-second TikTok or a feature length film, anything in between. So that's sort of my thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, which is the app. I'll be on the lookout for it. I mean, I definitely think it's needed.
Mm,
Um, as we were just having a discussion and thinking about like stories and storytelling,
mm,
I think about like a story that I actually liked, and I had like bigger expectations for this particular director. But it seems like that he peaked on his first film and sort of
mm.
declined. Was M. Night Shyamalan. I thought The Sixth Sense was a brilliant movie,
Yeah.
Word.
you know, but
And then
afterwards he chased the success of The Sixth Sense, and then the stories became like predictable and
Yeah.
ridiculous, and I don't know.
so I'm gonna leave a little bit of caveat. Uh, I, one of the companies I've just worked for, he was affiliated with it, so I'm gonna remove myself from that conversation. But I've said it before in the past. Like I would say it to him, like because I was such an Avatar fan, I wasn't the biggest fan of his rendition of
Avatar:
that
The Last
movie.
Airbender.
Yeah. So I think he's heard that from everybody. But
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really watched a lot of his stuff, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Or I think just in general, right? Like it's weird. It's so difficult to tell the story that you want to tell without having people interfere that think they know better, regardless of whatever accolades that you have. I mean, if they're still telling Spike stuff, if they're still telling Christopher Nolan stuff, if they're still telling, you know what I mean, still interfering with them,
Mm-hmm.
what chance do I have a lot of times when it comes to fighting that? So I will say, without getting into too much detail with that, because I don't want to betray the confidence of that. I will say that there is a lot of interference with stuff. So while yes, people have their names on things, sometimes people are sticking their nose in things. Like I really feel bad for, and I brought it up before. I really feel bad for the director of Madam Web. Like that just reeked of interference. But
Corporate
he was on it, so it looks like this is what he did. You know what I mean? And no one ever says this executive stood their nose in it because they're never prominent in whatever the creative is. Usually the director takes the hit, both good and bad.
Yep. Yeah.
So right now it looks like that director is completely incapable. Where being in a unique position that I have, I can see like, oh nah, somebody fucked with him. Like he couldn't be that bad, or else why did he get the job? You get what I'm saying? Like he wouldn't have.
I know you can't really speak to it, but I remember hearing that I guess like the word around Hollywood was kind of out too, that people started trying to figure out like how do they promote the movies that he involved with without having his name be synonymous with him. So that's got to be a horrible feeling to feel like you're this wonderful director or this great writer, but consumers may stay away from it because your name is attached to it. That's got to be horrible. But I kind of see kind of like a parallel with like Jordan Peele too, as somebody who started off with a really, really great story in Get Out, a film to me that I thought it was a good film. I thought it had a lot of hype behind it, and people, made it appear to be better than what it was. But I thought it was a good film. But since then, a lot of the films that I've seen that he's been involved with, to be honest with you, I haven't been like really impressed by any of it, and it sort of gives me like M. Night Shyamalan vibe, where it's like, damn, like your best work was your first film.
Right. Well, but to me, there's two things with that. That's the same thing with music, right? A lot of people's first album is usually their best album because they had their whole life to make that album. So a lot of times, creatively, like their first exposure to somebody creative, is usually their first work is usually their best work. The ones that become super successful is because they are constantly reinventing or pushing the envelope so that their next creative feels just as important. And not everybody can do that. As far as Jordan Peele goes, I will disagree with you on that. He, if you know, his company is A24, and they've been putting out a couple of bangers when it comes to that. As far as him directing, I don't know. I'm curious to know, like, what do you look? What Jordan Peele thing you thought was garbage?
That Keke Palmer movie was trash.
Wow, a letdown on what the fuck it actually was. Like, it was all mystery.
Everything about it was trash. It was anticlimactic. It was just. I'm sorry. And this is subjective. All of this stuff is subjective.
I know.
This is my opinion. I thought it was trash. I thought that was trash. I thought, what was the other joint he had? With the woman that switched with the underground person. What was it called? Is it Us? Was it Us?
Ma? Was it Ma? Did he do
Ma? No, Ma was mid at best. That was mid at best. But what was the other one he had? It was the family. Remember the family? They had like a home or something like that, and the lady's alter ego, which was underground or some crazy shit like that or whatever, came and attacked them at the resort house.
I think what happened is they switched. They at some point they went to like a fun house, and then something with a mirror, and they switched like with an alternate reality person.
Yeah.
Oh, Lupita was in it.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. I didn't see that one. I didn't see that.
You, bro.
I think he's his own. I don't know. Like, I know he's weird, so I just appreciate the fact, again, trying to do something different. And it don't always land because that's in his brain, and it's like sometimes like trying to express that shit, it doesn't always land. And it that comes with the territory. You kind of gotta like do that. Not everything is gonna land. I know everything I've done, there's definitely been a lot of mistakes, but that's kind of how you learn, and that's how you kind of push forward. But there's nothing that I've seen from him thus far that I would categorize as like complete like ass. There's some people that I would give them that label, but I wouldn't say it's complete ass. I would definitely say like, nah, I don't.
Wasn't for me.
Palmer one, I think, had a great first and second act, and we were kind of sort of
anticlimactic
down, with the last act. But I think that's both good and bad, because like the good part of it is he did such a great job with building the suspense.
Okay.
That now your mind is working on overtime, so it doesn't matter if he actually casted Jesus himself and it came down, it still would have been let down. Like, that's it? You just got Jesus, nigga? Like, you couldn't have got, you know what I mean? The Holy Trinity. Like, because my anticipation was that high, it doesn't matter what the hell could have came down. You know, you get what I'm saying? So it's like he did he did too good of a job building the anticipation up. I think J.J. Abrams does that a lot too. Like he master of building up anticipation, and then when you see what the end result is, you're like, huh? What is this? Like
the M. Night Shyamalan effect.
I don't know. I don't keep them in the same category. I like. There's a lot of things with J.J. Abrams. That aside, J.J. Abrams and Jordan Peele, I would group them more together than I would group M. Night.
I liked. So what was your impression of J.J. Abrams' rendition of when he was doing the Star Treks? I thought they were good.
They were. But again, it's that same thing. It's like he builds up the anticipation, and then gives it some sort of twist. I think they were good. I like what he was doing for Star Wars also as well, but then that felt like there was interference in that, and then to have another creator sort of jump in and give a completely different take than what you had set up. I think, to me, that's when I start talking about interference of like other things.
Yeah.
And now your whole story is kind of ruined and it doesn't really land the way it should land.
Yeah.
So you kind of have a recipe for that. But I know what you're saying. I think that I've tried to figure that out, and I think what I kind of answered was that is that your anticipation kind of builds up with those suspense things, and it's like, what the hell is that? Like Cloverfield, he did that. Like the first Cloverfield, I thought was kind of fire.
Yeah.
The concept was brilliant, and it was. I would say it was a cool movie. Yeah, it was. I liked it. It was good. Yeah.
So what's your favorite joint then? Because I need to see what your like bar is. Like, what's your
favorite movie of all? I don't know if I have a favorite movie of all time, but some of the movies that I've appreciated. I thought The Wolf of Wall Street was a great film.
Okay.
I thought. Let me see. The Wolf of Wall Street was Scorsese, right? Is that Scorsese? Yeah. The Wolf of Wall Street I thought was a great film. I thought. I'll argue with anybody any day about that. I thought the second Batman was the best installment, of best rendition I've ever seen of Batman. Not the original joint with Michael Keaton. Let's be clear, not that one. The one
with the original one, but go
the joint with Christopher Bale, where it had was it Bane? Was it the
Christian Bale series?
Yeah. That joint I thought was like a really good film.
The one with Joker or the one with Bane?
I like both. But to me, for some reason, the Bane one stuck with me better. Like, and I probably because it was less of Batman on screen and more of Bruce Wayne on screen, and like just the how you call it, like the character within the character.
The whole story, I guess, coming out of the pit and all that stuff.
Yeah, and it wasn't solely relying on I think that DC has made a mistake in the past of just be like, the story is not there. It's the superheroes of the story. Like what I was saying to you earlier, where people lose sight of what the story is. Right. And they just be like, shit, we got Batman, Superman, this person, put them on the screen, do your thing. And you're just supposed to be in awe as a viewer, like, oh shit, there go Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman or whatever, and you're not following the storyline. But I thought that Christopher Nolan, I think, did a really, really good job with actually capturing that and making that look really good. I
agree.
Like I said, I thought this makes sense. What you said, Ken?
I think like a lot of times it seems like to me like it's almost like a older movie thing. Like I thought like a movie like Benjamin Buttons.
That was a good film. Yeah, that was a good film. Let me see. What's
now also I'm glad you said that, because you also have to factor in when you're young and you seeing stuff that you may not have been exposed to, that if you would see it nowadays, you'd have a completely different filter. So there's also some
Gremlins is like that. Gremlins is like that for me. Seeing Gremlins now, I cringe. I'm like, this shit is trash.
Right. As a kid, you enjoyed it, right?
Yeah, Gremlins. But Back to the Future 1, Back to the Future 1, I think is still a really good film to today.
So you don't like nothing current?
There's a lot. I'm just keeping it real with you. There's a lot of garbage out now. There's a lot of shit out now that's really trash that I look at. I'm like, honestly, it's bigger budget TUBI stuff.
I like the what's the first one with Keanu Reeves? Not the last one where they fell down the steps 400 times. What
you talking about John Wick?
The first one I liked. Yeah.
That series is all right until he got to
the last one. You seen that last one where he's falling on the steps?
You want to get out of it though. Like you don't go into that series expecting for some amazing disposition dialogue. You going to see crazy shit or how niggas get shot and beat up. And figure out the most inventive ways to get that done smoothly. So it's like what you're going into that experience for.
Let's see what else is recent.
Recent stuff? Y'all not giving me nothing recent.
Name some recent movies. So I've seen a bunch of them, but that should tell you the lasting impression that they've.
Well, I told you on that Netflix.
I seen you seen Argyle.
Which is that?
You seen Argyle?
No, I didn't see that.
No, I didn't see that.
My wife was
That's
telling me
the
about
same
it.
guy
She
who
said
did,
it had a
Knives
different
Out.
spin.
Did he do? Is that Ryan Johnson's film archive?
That's the one where it's probably one of those spy films. What made me laugh is when you were talking about how you could sit down and tell what the story is.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I was
predictable.
like, that's Henry Cavill, the dude that plays
Oh,
Superman.
Yeah.
man.
Mhm. Nah, I don't think I saw that one. But did y'all see Knives Out? That's
Yeah,
a
yeah, I thought that was pretty
one.
good.
Ryan Johnson did that. Like Janelle Monáe was in it. A bunch
Yeah, I
of
thought that was pretty
I'll
good.
check that out. I gotta check
that.
that out.
That was fire. That was it. Same. To me, it embodies what I'm talking about as far as like same sort of format, but he approached it a little different. It's a whodunit, but the way they do it kept me emotionally invested until the end. So I do like stuff like that. But as
Yeah,
far
I
as
thought that was pretty good.
we are going, for me, Coming to America, Mo Better Blues.
Yeah,
Ooh, that's a classic, right?
Of course, like there's some that when Spike was his hottest, like Malcolm X.
Malcolm X is a great
yeah.
film.
You go back and look at like Love Jones.
Yeah, those stuff like um those sort of come top of mind to me. City of God
Yeah,
is a dope one in Brazil. That's when I really realized, yo, this hood's everywhere.
so
Yeah.
Some shit. You know what I mean? Like
I
a
got
lot
a
of
question
that
for
shit,
you.
you can basically cut and paste that shit into a lot of different countries and it would still feel the same. Which is kind of a sad thing to a certain degree.
So
Mhm.
you notice you see all the different renditions of Spider-Man all over the place. But
Mhm.
I noticed one in particular, even though I didn't think the storyline was the greatest, the cinematography and the video and the sound of it was just amazing. The Spider-Man with Jamie Foxx, that like the level of that film, whatever, like the actual clarity and sound on that film was completely.
Okay, I don't have it top of mind. I just know that that's the one with Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man you're talking about, right?
Yeah, I think it was the first one that Sony might have did. Like it was like in
They're all
THX.
Sony. They're all Sony, and
Okay.
that's a good or a bad thing depending on how you look at it. Those were maybe the first one. I don't think that was the first one. I think what you're talking about is Spider-Man 2 of that. The Spider-Mans have been good. The last one, No Way Home,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. I
Yeah,
think
that was
off
good.
a lot with multiverse and all that. I thought a lot of what happened in it was kind of stupid from a common sense point of view,
Mhm.
but that wasn't what I went into it for. You feel me?
Got you. I know.
Yeah.
Like this didn't make sense. This little kid, you about to change the whole universe because this kid can't go to college with everybody else. Like, what game is that? Like, going with like applying my sensibilities to that, and I roll my eyes but keep it moving. But it was dope. But I think to your thing that you were talking about with DC, Cha, they have a new head of creative over there now, so they then wipe the slate clean. Is about to do things differently. Basically, the same dude, James Gunn, that did
Guardian.
the Galaxies and like a bunch of other stuff. Like he's redoing it, so I'm excited about that. I think,
I've liked the Guardians film.
yeah. So imagine not that on the tone. Like he even did Peacemaker from,
Okay. Yeah, I watched that.
and I thought that was pretty. I thought that was pretty good. So I'm looking forward if he's using that imagination and that skill set into into this whole universe. I think it would be dope.
Did Josh Whedon also try to do something for DC at one point too?
Yeah, I believe so. Did he do something? I don't know.
Because I feel like they ended up getting away from he left Marvel, right? And I thought he was doing was he involved with trying to do Justice League for them or something like that?
Nah, that was Snyder you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, Daniel
Zack
Snyder.
Snyder.
Not Daniel Snyder. Zack
Zack
Snyder.
Snyder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
You
that
ever
was
watch that? The director's cut of that, Zack Snyder's Justice League.
it's like 4 hours, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
It didn't need to be 4 hours.
No.
Shit was trash.
Any movie that's 4
But
hours.
the reason why there's a director's cut again sort of goes back to sort of the theme of what I've been saying
Editors.
before, as far as interference goes. Like
Mhm.
he had a certain vision that he wanted to do, and whether good, bad, or indifferent, I think you kind of lean more towards letting the director do that, and then
Mhm.
see what comes out of it than other folks sort of interfering with that and not being as invested in the story. It's okay to get notes, but you have to be as invested in the story as everyone else. If you're giving the notes from just an analytical point of view and you
Mhm.
don't really care about the story or really have a passion for the story, it's a
Mhm.
recipe for disaster.
Yo, Snipes, it sounds like you saying somebody coming in and be like, yeah, we showed a cut and the focus group said that they prefer Batman with the blue cape on instead of the black cape.
Yeah.
Conversations that do conversations, there'll be whole shit upended because no, we have to make this mauve because dark red is not going to work. So basically you stopping my whole production because you want to talk to me about the color of a wall. Like
Man,
that. Like, you know what I mean? But it's very real things that happen a lot of times to creatives. So
Wow.
it's and nobody catches wind of it, right? It's just whoever's name is tagged on it, the star, the director,
Mhm.
and they get all the blame and they get all the credit. It is what it is.
Wow.
You know what I
So
mean?
so then I'm thinking about like in terms of like I think when DVDs were a thing, there was always director's cuts. I wonder if they were going to directors then, and that was the selling point. Like, it may get left on the cutting room floor in the theaters, but we can always put your version on the DVD, the director's cut. Where do we get the director's cut from now?
They still have them. Even if you are on, that's more for downloading purchases,
Okay.
content purchases. So that'll be some of the add-ons that come to it. So it's basically that same DVD experience, but just from
Mhm.
download. But as far as like a regular streaming, like on Netflix, that's not a thing unless they specifically target that.
Okay.
But even with that, sometimes they'll have like additional stuff on the streaming things, and maybe a director's cut, or maybe just the director sort of explaining
Okay.
what's happening. You know what I'm saying? So that can be a thing. But other than that, I would say there is sometimes a reason why you can't necessarily let them go crazy, but I think the key and the balance is that if everybody has a passion, a genuine passion behind whatever the subject matter is for the content, and they can speak to it from whatever their strength is to make it a stronger thing.
Right.
Like George Lucas, I think, was a master of that when it came to Star Wars because he had all of these different people that were passionate and
About
sort of spoke right, and they were passionate about their specific niche of where they were at, as well as
Right.
the story. So he was able to sort of pick and choose from a good place and refine a concept that he had in his head into something that we're still talking about to this day
Timeless. It's
Yeah.
timeless. Yeah.
because of the collaboration. So I'm never saying don't collaborate, but there's a way to collaborate that not everybody gets. And I think, when you see something successful, it's usually because there was a great collaboration behind it. Never usually just one person, especially when it comes to feature. Yeah, that one person kind of has their name, sort of has the billing to it.
yeah.
But I can almost guarantee so many times that there's somebody else, a lot of other people that either helped, made it great, or made it garbage.
Imagine going into like the pitch. You going to pitch your idea to a studio, and they be like, "Yeah, well, your last project." And you got to come on and be like, that shit wasn't mine. The suits made me. That wasn't my business. But this is the last thing I want to say, Snipes, as it relates to content. I was just thinking, I took my oldest and my daughter to see like a Spike Lee premiere some years ago down in New York City, and it was for a film that it was like it wasn't one of his bigger productions. It was a film about a kid. I forget the name of it. It was something maybe like something about a summer or whatever. But the film was basically about a kid who went to stay with his grandfather in Brooklyn, and they found out that his grandfather at one point was actually a child molester or something like that. I remember the Red Hook Summer. Red Hook Summer, I think it was called.
Oh, okay.
Red Hook Summer or whatever. And afterwards, Spike Lee was there answering questions. And, you know, he has a scene in it, if you ever saw, he has a scene on it where the pastor, because the grandfather's a pastor, sitting on a bed with I guess like a young man or whatever, and he's like, you know, basically getting ready to sexually abuse the young man. And somebody asked him, he was like, you know, why would you have a scene like that in the film? You know, why would you show that, or why would you let it get to that point or whatever where we needed to see it? And he said, as it relates to content, he was like, you know, how could you have that big of an important part of the story and not actually give people a visual of what it looks like? Like he said, why would you leave that part of the story to people's imagination, no matter how heinous it may have been or come across? Now, of course, it didn't get graphic or whatever, but he showed enough to sort of set the scene as to what was going to transpire. And that always stuck with me in relation to content, because you see like these different stories and stuff play out. And you know, like I see it a lot in like the Power universe and Raising Canaans and stuff like that. And you hear about like all these things that happen, but there's never an actual visual of what transpired. Like I don't know, do you watch Raising Canaan?
I've seen none of those. I started watching the first series, Power, but then I kind of fell off, and it's like one of those things is like a train you got to be on while it's going.
Definitely.
Yeah,
there are a lot of things in that comes up that you be like, oh, okay, you know, so I guess I'm left to fill in the blanks. So I guess this happened in order for that to happen, you know. So just wondering, like, what are your thoughts about that? What I said with Spike Lee has said premiere.
It's how you're telling the story. I think that what you're talking about is writing. So there's ways to give you an idea, to give you an emotion without necessarily doing it. For the person that even questioned why would he have that scene, the bigger question is, why would somebody do that in the first place? Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's just telling the story about motherfuckers that are really like that. So my question would be more, why there people like this? Like, he's just a storyteller telling what's happening. It's the same as with, you know, rappers, and, you know, they were trying to say like, oh, why are you saying this type of stuff in the music? Instead of saying like, well, why is my environment like this in the first place? This is right. So if my hood wasn't the way it was, I wouldn't be rapping like this. So people always kill me when it comes to that. Like, oh, how can you depend? Like, because that's what's actually happening. You don't like it? I agree. So that's why I showed it, because this is crazy. So you see that, so you can get that visceral emotion, and you can do something about it. What you do about it, that's on you. But I need you to get that visceral emotion. So that's what he wanted to do. So to me, that makes sense of doing that. If you're talking about just implied stuff, it depends on how you do it. There's a way you can do it, how you write, how you set a scene, how you light something to help the brain sort of fill in the blanks. And there's lazy writing where I'm just them niggas will figure it out.
Freestyle.
That's a different thing, as opposed to I'm setting the mood so your brain can sort of flow along with it, and you'll understand why I didn't show it, because either it was too much, or, you know, it's an alien show, but I don't got a lot of budget, so I can't keep showing this alien motherfucker because it's driving my budget up. But I'm gonna give you the point of where, okay, he got stabbed. You know, maybe I'll pull the focus away and you'll just hear the sounds, and you hear the audio of the gore of somebody getting killed, you hear the squishing of the kidney and all this other stuff, and you'll get that, and it'll give you that visceral emotion without me having to literally show you that. So there's all kinds of tricks if you're using it as, you know, helping you with your plot without being graphic, or you have to monitor your content to make sure it doesn't cross a certain boundary. But to do it, to be lazy, that's the whole other thing, and people can tell the difference if you're being.
One last thing, I lied. I got to say this one last thing though too that I've noticed with like the Tubi films that sometimes like drive me crazy when you watch some of those films. I'll be like, the character development, it's like it'll be 47 characters and 4 of them will be relevant to the story. So it just be like, you at the end you try to keep up, you be like, so it was the dude from the first scene that came through the door that he was really the brother of the person
in the 11th scene.
The other one that it's like they just introduced, you got an hour and a half worth of content and it's 50 characters. You haven't developed any of those characters,
right?
You know, but they all somehow we left to believe that all of them involved in the story. So at the end, it pop out like, oh, so you was the dude who did the killing, and that man only appeared on the screen one time.
He didn't know who he was.
Well, that's when you're doing movies with the homies, right? And you just like
get everybody.
Yeah, let me get everybody. Like, oh, you want to be in this joint too? You gonna be number 3, and you related to this, and it's not translating whatever sort of intricate storyline you have on the script so that the actors can relate to it. Again, you said it before, people are not in love with the process, and that is a clear gap in the process. It's like, okay, I know I have this intricate story, but I'm all over the place, and I really haven't like proofread or really like workshop my script to narrow it down to make it consumable for everybody. I think it's just displaying chaos, and people are gonna go for it, and they do, but not for maybe the reason that filmmaker is doing it. He or she is thinking they're making a crazy story that works for people, and it's like, no, I'm just looking at a train wreck, and I'm fascinated by all of these different accidents that keep happening on there. You're in one scene and it's day and night, and it's supposed to be the same scene. How did that happen? Oh, I see a boom mic in your shot. This is hilarious. How much more fuck ups is going to happen? And people are watching it just for that, as opposed to I'm really even paying attention to whatever chaotic story that you're trying to serve me. So it's just a process. People didn't refine their process of whatever it is. And again, there's an audience for that. Some people want to watch train wrecks. They don't want to be in it, but they want to watch it.
They enjoy watching them smash, right?
Yeah, it's another difference, if you will. Like you said, you know, people want some different stuff. That's a way to be different. It's just train wrecks. My entertainment value is going to come from how is this shit going to fuck up? Like, I want to see this. So wait a minute, he got shot, but he didn't react till 3 minutes later. Like, this is the slowest death I've ever seen. Like, shit as opposed to anything else. So it is what it is. But it opened my eyes when I found out that Fox.
Oh yeah, that's not. Yeah, that's definitely different. Rob, you got anything else?
Yo, are you still on the advisory board for the Harlem Film House?
Yes, I am. So, like, if any creatives in New York that want to, you know, submit their films for the Harlem Film Festival, I definitely recommend it. It's a good experience. You get to network with a lot of folks, and really have a way to really see your stuff.
What our future script writers and producers and directors looking like? We got a bright future?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would recommend if you have the privilege to, anybody that's listening had the privilege to go to an African country, you'll see where we get a lot of our shit from, for real. It's the motherland for a reason. Every time I've gone, it's just like okay, this is where we get all of this shit from. And you know what I mean? And the good things. And it's like having that connection. And, you know, I've shout out to everyone in Cameroon. I really just took an affinity to that country and a lot of the people there, and just seeing a lot of the creativity that's there. And I think that's a really underserved market of just amazing talent. Again, it's the motherland. So we know what we do out here.
Yeah.
We got it from them. So you can just imagine what they're doing out there. You know what I mean? And to get the same look and privileges of what we get out here, if you were able to apply that to out there, it'd be insane.
Yeah.
So that, for me, that's another sort of motivation of mine, is to try to level that playing field and to work with some of my Nigerian peoples and Cameroonian peoples, Ghanaian peoples, Kenyan peoples, and start connecting those dots the best way I can. You know what I mean? I'm not super influential, but I do what I can with what I got. You know what I mean? To start facilitating that, and showing like there's a lot of creatives out there, a lot that's doing amazing stuff. So yeah, I would definitely say that. There's something also, a documentary that I did on hip hop landmarks. Is coming out later this year on ESPN and Andscape. Super excited about that. Just telling the different sort of regional stories of hip hop through these different landmarks in Atlanta, in LA, in New York, et cetera, and sort of just, you know, having a different way of telling these hip hop stories that we know, or some we don't, and sort of giving you a sort of local taste or regional taste of, you know, what hip hop was like and the contribution those areas have done. So I'm super excited about that once that drops.
Yo, Snipes, I appreciate you pulling up and having this conversation with us, bro. We got your IG on the screen. If anybody else wanted to get in contact with you any other way, how could they go about getting in contact with you?
That's it right there. My handle is the same on pretty much any social media. I don't take unsolicited pitches, because I get that shit all the time, and I'm not trying to be a snob. It's just I don't have the time to read everybody's shit, especially if you didn't do the work. There's other ways to get me. I have an agent, I have a manager. They can screen that stuff for me, and they know who to sort of get through. I think if there is a dope idea that you have, that anybody has, I think just do it. You don't need me for it. Just do it. And if things align to where, you know, we can work on those things, it'll come across my plate. I know that sounds very vague. I'm just really tired, dog. It's just like getting a whole bunch of stuff like in my inbox. Sometimes I don't even open it. Like I got mad filters in my shit because like everybody and their mama got a show idea. Everybody's like, oh, I should follow that for me because my life is so crazy. And it's like, no, your life is real basic. Like it's not interesting at all. Yeah, so like, let's just keep it moving. So I think there's a will, there's a way, and if there's a really dope idea and my eyes need to be on it, there's a tactful way to do it. What that way is, I don't know. I'm be honest, because I get bombarded with stuff. It's just like, music industry getting flooded with demos. You can try that, maybe it'll catch my eye. But if you do try it, everything got to be tight. It can't just be like, oh, I know this is a dope idea. You got to have the shit mapped out. You got to know, maybe you have a trailer that gets to the point that gets to the point quick. Because if you're trying to get anybody's attention, I do that now. It's just like, if I need to get your attention, I'm sending you something. It's better get to the point within the first 10 seconds of what this is. Why should I be interested? And then for me to carry on with even watching it. If I'm not attracted within those first 5 or 10 seconds, it's out. Is it the same way somebody listened to a demo and they listen to the first 10 seconds and be like, they'll know whether or not this is trash. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing when it comes to, creative or content. It's like I need to don't wait mad long for me to oh well, you should just know because me and Ray really did. I don't care.
That's the gym. That's a real gym right there that you're giving people. That's a real gym.
Respect their time. I would even feel I'm more inclined to do it because I feel like you're showing that respect. You get what I'm saying? If you just bombarding me with shit that you know that this was half-assed, so why the fuck are you giving it to me? You know what I mean? So if you're like, yo, I appreciate the time. Here it is in 10 seconds. Here's the elevator pitch right here. Boom.
Yeah.
And if I catch it, I'm like, I bet I'll try to respond back to those because I know at least you were grinding to do what the fuck you need to do.
Right.
Potentially get with somebody like myself in order to be like, all right, can we partner up? Like that kind of shit. You feel me? So I'll try to respond back to that. But anything else less than that, like if you don't have whatever it is and sort of these bullet points or the trailer or whatever it is that you can do to really just grab somebody's attention from the door, then I don't run it because that's a reflection of the audience. What you're doing with me, that's what that's going to do with the audience. So if it's not getting me, how the fuck are you going to get anybody else with that shit? Not to say that I'm the taste of everybody else, but I just have to go off of my initial reaction of what I know, or it resonate like, oh, in my head, I could see a bunch of middle-aged black women are going to love this. It's not for me, but I can automatically see from that first 5-10 seconds that that's your audience. And I know now who to connect you with. Talk to my homegirl at such and such. And she'll love that. She's looking for that. And I love doing that, like connecting people when it comes to that. But your shit just got to be tight. Because if somebody opens the email or answers the call or whatever the case may be, if you have your shit down pat where you know, like, this is it, boom, 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 then I can respect that. But anything else less than that, no. Because I don't want to do more work than you. Why am I this your shit? Why am I taking the mantle up for your shit?